What about healthcare? You're running on Medicare for all? Can you talk about that dimension as well?
Yeah, so I'm running on Medicare for all or nothing because
Yeah.
we cannot accept middle ground on something such as healthcare. Our healthcare should not be a commodity. Our bodies, our lives are not a commodity, and it shouldn't be treated as such. Um, Everyone deserves the right to health care, and it shouldn't depend on whether you're employed or whether you can pay for it. And even if you can pay for it, there's no reason why you should have a high freaking deductible and still not even be 100% covered and still have to pay astronomical prices for prescription medicine or even preventative medicine for regular checkups. I mean, our healthcare system is broken. Myself, I was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis. I had a blood clot behind each leg and one in my lung. And I spent about 2 weeks in the hospital with my physician basically arguing with my insurance company to pay for it or I was going to die.
And that was, yeah. I mean, it's just so like when you look and you know, you don't have to go wherever you want. I'm trying to goad you to attack Steny Hoyer because I like that. But when you look at somebody like Steny Hoyer and what he represents and the corporate connections, and you talk about like your deep understanding of these issues on a policy and personal level, what does that whole leadership represent to you in terms of like, what has the man done representing the 5th District for decades? Like, where is that translating as supposedly a progressive Democratic leader?
Yeah. I mean, clearly he's representing his corporate donors, and that's the issue. He's not representing us. And I think that we just needed somebody had to step up and, bring this to light, like this is happening because he's been on our ballot for so long. Right. He's been our representative for so long. So it's kind of like he's basically a household name. Like it's Steny, he's been there. But people are noticing now. People are noticing. I can't tell you how many times when I go door knocking and I hear constituents and I tell them, I talk to them about healthcare and I'm like, well, Steny doesn't support that. And then they'll say to me, really, why not? And then you get into the money and then you get into the money and you make people aware and people notice now.
What made you step up? Like, when did you actually decide that you were going to take this race?
Okay, so unofficially, I decided that I wanted to run for Congress years ago when I started to see that our criminal justice system, the things that were happening was bigger than the individual. Right. Because I initially wanted to work as a psychologist, to work in prisons and juvenile detention centers, to talk to the prisoners until I, saw for myself, this is a whole systemic issue. And from that point on, I switched my major to political science. I started to look into legislation. I started to look into the record of our representative. And I would say I officially decided that I wanted to run for Congress in 2018 because for a long time, I thought that in order for me a credible candidate, I would have to have a degree. I would have to, work in political work. But seeing the progressive wave in 2018 and seeing people like AOC win and Ayanna Pressley, it let me know that regular working people can win. And that's what ultimately motivated me to file and run to represent Maryland's 5th.
That's so awesome. And I have to say, I'll do my usual. This actually is one of the reasons that I talk about Lula so much. I think it is significant that the best president that Brazil had, and an incredible international president, was a union worker who never went to college. And, in his recent letter to the Labor Party youth wing, he said, part of my mission is to prove that working people across the globe can govern themselves.
Yes.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.